I've got some breaking news today that I think is the most bullish development of this cycle, especially for altcoins. And I know that most of us have been let down by this so-called bull run, but guys, there is a glimmer of hope. Today, I'll be giving you that. Hello friends, Stan here from airdrops.com, and today I'll be breaking down the latest developments in the crypto market for you and see what this means for us as traders and long-term investors. So let's get into it right here. First, let's look at an interesting macro shift. The US M2 money supply surged 4.5%. No, that's not the altcoin bombshell that I'm teasing. And hang tight guys, we'll hit the actual altcoin catalyst in just a bit. But this shift here could turn out to be very good for my personal portfolio, possibly yours. Here it is. The M2 money supply jumped 4.5% in May to a record $21.94 trillion. This marks the 19th consecutive monthly increase. It has now surpassed the previous all-time highs of $21.86 trillion posted in March 2022. Furthermore, inflation-adjusted M2 money supply rose 2.1% year-over-year last month, the largest increase since early 2022. And we're getting this info from the Kobayashi letter here on X. They continue. Since 2020, the US M2 money supply has risen nearly $7 trillion, or 45%. And fellas, that's in 5 years, mind you that. The US dollar's purchasing power is in an internal bear market, according to these folks over on X. Here's the one thing about this M2 money supply growth, guys. In 2020 to 2021, such numbers always preceded huge Bitcoin rallies. You can verify it yourself. Just pull up the historical data and it's there. So, according to an X post also from Crypto Noarch, with a 60 to 90 day lag, and keep in mind friends, there's typically around a 90-day lag between M2 growth and Bitcoin's move. That's your speculation right there. So, with a 60 to 90 day lag, this could push Bitcoin potentially towards $120,000 to $170,000 by Q4 of 2025, if this trend holds. History may not repeat, but indeed rhymes sometimes, and this could be it in crypto right now. Of course, Bitcoin could also tumble sharply, so do your own research, I guess. Now, we continue. Now, Bitcoin's dominance is also at its highest in 4.5 years, going up 15.53% year to date, and Bitcoin is clearly the market favorite during this liquidity rally. Now, here are my thoughts. I was actually discussing this with someone about what's going on in the markets. So, my opinion is that the direction in which the markets are going right now is heavily influenced by AI and algorithms, but also by huge investment amounts. Individuals and institutions with large capital are looking to invest in rather surefire assets. I mean surefire, as far as we can speak of surefire, of course, in crypto. However, Bitcoin seems to be holding up and standing the test of time quite well, at least so far. On top of that, Nasdaq and the S&P 500 are at all-time highs, and Bitcoin is also around near all-time high levels too. So I think this comes down to big money players feeling comfortable enough to dip into certain assets. Now, looking at alts, especially Ethereum, its momentum is slowing. Yeah, investors are rotating into Bitcoin as a perceived safe bet when macro uncertainty spikes. That matches Crypto Noarch's perspective and my own view of the market too. Let's continue. Ethereum, on the other hand, is holding up better than most alts, but still lagging Bitcoin. Price action is critical now because Ethereum is looking to test almost $3,000. Some catalysts that could pump this up are ETF inflows, regulatory clarity, and rate cuts. Alright, keep in mind the ETF inflows part, alright? Additionally, we continue. Additionally, Ethereum's upgrades and institutional adoption could count as well. But I believe ETF inflows could outshine everything else. So, why did I tell you to keep in mind the ETF inflows? Well, here's the breaking news. The SEC acknowledges Grayscale's bid to convert its digital large cap fund into a spot ETF. That basket holds Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. The funny thing is that those are pretty close to my picks for my personal low leverage positions. As a trader and long-term hodler, I see these assets as the clearest path to ride an eventual altcoin rally. Nothing's risk-free, guys, but this feels like possibly the easiest upside play in this market. Now, if fresh liquidity floods crypto, like during 2021's climax or last year's meme coin craze, these tokens should capture most of the gains. I say should. We've already witnessed staggering inflows into Bitcoin ETFs too. Ethereum hasn't caught the same wave yet, however, but just imagine when it does. Right now, we have SEC acknowledgement, not full approval, mind that. Once we get the green light on major brokerages, people will suddenly be able to buy an entire basket of crypto rather than just cherry pick each token. Something like the S&P 500 or NASDAQ, but on a kind of small scale. That means direct exposure not just to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but to some top 10 cryptos like XRP2, Solana, and Cardano, and so on. I believe this could be the catalyst that unleashes the massive multi-token buying we haven't seen yet this bull cycle. Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper. Here it is. The SEC has approved the conversion of the large cap fund into an ETF. And this, guys, could be huge in my opinion. We continue. The SEC is reportedly exploring the creation of generic listing standards for token-based ETFs. Bloomberg analysts have increased their predictions for ETF approvals, now estimating 95% for the spot ETFs for XRP, Solana, and Litecoin, and even a 90% chance for Doge, Cardano, Polkadot, Hedera, Avalanche, based on the increased regulatory clarity. Of course, this will fling the floodgates wide open to mainstream money. And I know this frightens some purists out there, I get it, but as crypto matures, we just have to accept it, we need to. And in my view, this level of institutional access could indeed seriously boost the market liquidity. It could be insane. So then again, I could be wrong, yeah, sure, don't take my word at face value. Now let's continue. Bitcoin's dominance must show a clear downtrend before alt season can truly begin. So let's hear what this guy had to say about it.
I agree, altcoins are cheap against Bitcoin, but they can get even cheaper like we have seen in the last 2 years. Instead, you want to be sure that the altcoin season is real when Bitcoin dominance actually shows a long-term downtrend like this. And that takes a lot of patience. If Trump winning the election wasn't enough to trigger a durable altcoin season, other news-based catalyst events are highly possible to be traps as well. And we don't need to catch these exact reversals on Bitcoin dominance, because just look at the last 2 altcoin cycles. In 2021, this altcoin season lasted for a whole year, and you had plenty of time to get in when the downtrend actually established itself. In 2017, the altcoin season also lasted for over a year, and you had plenty of time to get in when you saw the downtrend actually forming. There is no reason to lose your cool before the real run even started. Give it enough time for Bitcoin dominance to actually make a lower high and lower low structure on a weekly time frame, then you can know for sure that the altcoin season is starting and we have an easy time to invest in altcoins, and then you can deploy much more heavily into shitcoins.
With that said, friends, that's why it's incredibly important to me to see the different viewpoints on the market. I myself still feel very bullish, but I recognize that it's vital for me and for yourself possibly that we recognize that there are alternative views and opinions and arguments, and we need to assess those. So ultimately, I would say I blend my own views with those of others. I mix my research with that of others, and at the end of the day, I believe it's kind of the most fitting approach. I guess you would agree with me, but if you don't, let me know in the comments, yeah? All right, let's move on. Let's see what we got here. James Wynn just got liquidated for another $800,000. This guy had about $100 million in profit, and everyone hailed him as a genius, but it seems that he was just another degen trader. Personally, I think 40x leverage is just asinine. I would never trade at that level. Absurd, no way. And sure, I place some random bets here and there every now and then, but riding 40x non-stop, that's no way. And we got plenty of volatility precisely thanks to the leverage out there. Here's the silver lining though. There are more shorts open than longs at the moment, and the longs are getting pushed down. We saw the data and it showed us more people were long. To me, this signals it actually reeks of manipulated market. Because if there are more longs than shorts significantly, then we normally get downward action. That's not exact science, it's my personal observation, of course, firsthand. And that's why I'm still set up for the next move upward. So, guys, this has been my breakdown of the markets today. Thank you for watching airdrops.com. My name is Stan, and I welcome you. I expect to see you here next time when we bring you another interesting portion of the newest and hottest in crypto in this world of this bullish market. So, I'll see you around. Take care. Bye-bye.